Over the past few years, Malaysia's anti-corruption agency systematically tracked down and recovered billions in stolen 1MDB assets from across the globe. To understand the weight of that task, look at the manpower. A standard national police force operates with roughly 150,000 officers to tackle domestic crime. This diagram compares that scale to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or SPRM. They operate with a fraction of that size, utilizing fewer than 3,000 personnel to dismantle national and international syndicates. Despite that tiny footprint, the agency aggressively pursued targets who historically never saw the inside of a courtroom, ranging from military chiefs and syndicate bosses to billionaires holding elite titles like Tun and Tan Sri. The agency's success in tracking and freezing overseas assets has drawn global attention, with foreign anti-corruption bodies now traveling directly to Malaysia specifically to learn their successful methods for high-stakes financial recovery. Which brings us to the outgoing chief of the agency, Tan Sri Azam Baki, who is wrapping up a 6-year tenure at the helm. Logically, a leader who successfully targeted untouchable elites and brought foreign money back home would be celebrated domestically. Instead, he leaves office as one of the most heavily criticized and scrutinized public servants in the country. How exactly does a team recognized internationally for hunting financial giants end up losing the battle for public opinion in their own backyard? When investigators finally started arresting the Kayangan, the untouchable elite class, those suspects immediately realized they couldn't win on the legal merits, so they changed the venue. They moved the fight away from the courtroom, directly into our social media feeds, a space where hard evidence matters far less than raw emotion. Using their accumulated wealth, these suspects hired professional PR consultants and political spin doctors. Their primary tactic was flooding platforms like TikTok with highly curated, well-funded narratives designed to hijack the conversation. Every detail of their arrest was carefully twisted to strip away their status as powerful suspects and rebrand them as helpless victims of an unfair system. They tapped directly into deep-seated political divisions, turning straightforward corruption charges into tribal warfare to rally angry, loyal supporters to their defense. By spending their illicit wealth, these elites successfully bought an alternate reality, outmaneuvering the law by simply purchasing the public sympathy. If these viral narratives are entirely manufactured, you would expect the investigators to step up to a microphone and publicly correct the record. This shows exactly why they can't. PR teams broadcast freely, while SPRM investigators are trapped behind a legal confidentiality barrier. Prohibited from leaking case documents or posting defense videos, the spin floods the internet entirely unopposed. For an audience scrolling on their phones, that institutional silence feels incredibly suspicious. When one side is screaming and the other says nothing, it's easy to assume the silence is proof of a political conspiracy. The very laws designed to protect suspects and ensure a fair trial are actively used by elites to destroy the public reputation of the people arresting them. When we look back at Azam Baki's tenure through this asymmetric digital war, his legacy takes on a different shape. Despite 6 years of intense, highly publicized scrutiny, there has never been a single proven instance of criminal misconduct against him. Yet that clean legal record stands in sharp contrast to a public image that has been relentlessly dragged through the mud. A coordinated, well-funded perception campaign effectively overwrote the objective reality of the agency's achievements under his watch. It highlights the massive gap between shouting political slogans from a stage and actually tearing down corrupt networks. Reforming a compromised system from the inside is slow, methodical work. It doesn't come with cheering crowds. It is a deeply lonely and often thankless process. In the digital age, a suspect's most potent defense weapon is the algorithmic reach of a curated TikTok feed rather than a law book. If we continue to take slickly produced sympathy videos at face value, we end up doing the heavy lifting for the exact same elites who spent decades